What's up everyone, I'm CallumOnToast, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing some battles in the Open Great League running my newly built XL Shadow Drilbur, which got a buff this season with Mud Slap generating more energy. For anyone that's new to the channel, don't worry, I'm not recommending you build this Pokemon, so don't waste your resources unless you plan on building a Shadow Excadrill for the Open Master League, in which case it might be fun to try it out as a Drilbur first. As you can see, the IVs are pretty good for a Shadow Pokemon, and I do intend on evolving it for the Master League at some point, but I often find that I get very attached to these XL Great League Pokemon, so we'll see if I actually do go through with it or not. Now this team, as you can imagine, wasn't amazing, but it was a ton of fun to run, and that's certainly important at the start of a new season where it doesn't really matter if you're successful or not, but what's most important is having fun, and I did also pick up some pretty crazy wins with it too. So with that being said, let's just get into the question of the day. Which Pokemon would you recommend trying out in its base form before you eventually evolve it to use in the Open Master League? Let me know in the comment section down below, and with that being said, let's get into the battles now. Alright, so going into the first battle, we Pelipper into Skarmory. So this is an okay lead actually, just because we do resist the Steel Wings, but also the opponent is going to be resisting the Wing attacks. Now we're going to say swap into Excadrill. The opponent responds with a Whiscash. They tried to catch a Rock Slide there, not able to do so, but it doesn't matter. They will still be able to CMP time me here as I make it to the back-to-back drill run. So I'm actually going to use a shield. I know I'm not going to be able to flip this matchup, but I do want to at least grab one shield from my opponent. So we're now going to go for the drill run here. This should be grabbing a shield, otherwise they will be losing switch advantage, and at this point I'm pretty happy to let Excadrill go down. Now the safe option would be to come in with my Pelipper, but I think they're in range where I might actually just be able to fully Mud Slap, farm down the Whiscash, and I'm able to do exactly that. And now let's see, the opponent comes in with a Vigoroth, so we're going straight for the drill run here, and this is going to do a ton of damage if they don't respect it, and they don't. It nearly one-shots them. We swap into Pelipper, the opponent swaps out at the same time, trying to snipe with a Sky Attack up against the Drilbur, but we can tank that reasonably comfortably on the Pelipper. We can now go for a Weather Ball. We will make it to a second Weather Ball already, and the opponent does have quite a lot of energy still, so they will make it to the Sky Attack before we make it to the next charge move. Now here, I'm not 100% sure if I can Mud Slap farm them down before they make it to another move, and we have to remember that Vigoroth does have a Body Slam loaded, so we go for the Weather Ball. The opponent lets the Skarmory go down. Big mistake as they come back in with the Vigoroth. They have to fire off a charge move. Body Slam takes us out, but I'm able to Mud Slap, farm down the Vigoroth with my Shadow Drilbur, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we see Umbreon in the lead, so pretty neutral lead matchup. We are running a sort of ABB style team, so I will eventually have to swap out of this matchup. I can't afford to stay in neutral matchups, because if the opponent then has something that beats my Excadrill and my Drilbur in the back, then I'm pretty screwed. So they go for a last resort for some reason. We're now going to swap into Excadrill, and I do apologize about the lag on screen. My phone is just really rubbish at the moment, but the opponent's going to come in with a Gligar. We can at least make it to 2 Rock Slides, and this is Shadow on Shadow. It's going to do huge damage to the Gligar. The second one will be threatening a shield, and we did also leave the Umbreon matchup with a Weather Ball loaded on my Pelipper, so we're going to throw it straight away, not give the opponent any opportunity to throw energy, and the opponent lets the Gligar go down. They come back in with the Umbreon. I feel like I should live a charge move from this range. They go for a foul play. We do live that. I'm now going to go for the Hurricane there. I end up throwing on alignment. Doesn't really matter too much. I need the damage to land. It does register, and at this point the opponent has to throw a charge move here, otherwise I would Wing Attack farm them down. We now come in with the Shadow Drilbur. They've got Defense Form Deoxys, but we've got a shield advantage, and now I will be able to very comfortably win this matchup. Gonna shield the first move. They go for the Psycho Boost right off the bat. They make it to Psycho Boost number 2 before we make it to 2 drill runs, so if we didn't have that shield advantage, we would be losing this matchup, but we had 2 shields, so we can go for drill run number 1, grabbing the shield. Second drill run will easily be enough damage to take out the Defense Form Deoxys from this range, and I'm able to Mud Slap, farm down the Umbreon, and take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we see Pelipper into Lantern, so that is awful for us. Gonna say swap into my Excadrill, and the opponent is choosing to stay in initially, so we're gonna go for that drill run, grab an early shield, although they will be able to grab a shield right back with a Surf. So I'm gonna use my shield here, and the opponent is going to go for that Surf, and then swap into a Whiscash. So they had a pretty good response here anyway, so maybe they just wanted one of my shields first, but we can now go for the drill run. Does some decent damage. Unfortunately, If the Whiscash was Shadow, I could probably flip this matchup with an energy advantage, but like that, I'm not able to do so. This time the opponent did bank a ton of energy, so we do come in, sponge it with the Pelipper. Obviously, we can't do much with our Pelipper up against that Lantern anyway, so gonna let the next move go through, and then I will immediately swap into my Shadow Drilbur, and let's see, the opponent stays in initially. They got a Talonflame in the back, and if we had a Mud Shot as a fast move, I think we just win this game here, because we get to the Rock Tomb. Rock Tomb would easily one-shot them, so they have to use a shield, but unfortunately I'm just not going to be able to make it to another charge move, so I let that go through. We're going to go for 4 wing attacks, making sure the second Incinerate doesn't register any damage. Weather Ball takes out the Talonflame, and does a Hurricane KO from this range? I don't think it does. And no, it does not KO. The opponent is able to Spark farm me down, and I do lose that game. But GG's to that opponent, not a lot I could have done there. Into next game, a much more favourable lead for me, as I see a Whiscash. They could be running Blizzard, but they don't actually farm to it. So I would suggest if you're running Whiscash and you don't have Blizzard, you should at least farm to the potential Blizzard before throwing, because that way I might be forced to use a shield. I probably wouldn't anyways, but you never know. But here we're able to come in with the Excadrill. I'm going to let this move go through. You're going to see that a resisted Moonblast nearly takes us out. They also get the attack drop, so I'm forced to throw some of my energy, which is quite frustrating, but we can go for the Drill Run, taking out the Carbink, and a second Drill Run will be connecting up against this Whiscash unless they do shield. They actually do choose to shield there, which is okay with me. Now here I could go for the Hurricane. I thought about it. I think the safe play is just to go straight for these Weather Balls here, and I can tank another charge move coming from the Whiscash, so I'm going to let this move go through. They go for the Scald there, and they swap into their own Pelipper. Now this is a bit tricky, but I'm going to go straight for the Hurricane. It connects, and now we swap into our Shadow Drilbur. This is obviously bad, a ground type with mostly ground type damage up against a water and flying type Pokemon, but these Mud Slaps are seriously chunking, and a double resisted Drill Run takes out the Pelipper, and at this point the opponent has to farm to a lot of energy. They're not able to get to back-to-back charge moves, and I'm able to take them out with the Mud Slap damage and take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, really good lead. The opponent save swaps into Sableye. I don't have a response here. What I should do is probably just go for the Weather Ball straight away, because obviously they're one turn behind. Now they've caught up, but I also want to threaten like I have got a Hurricane. But you're going to see the opponent calls the bait anyway, so yeah, that's kind of pointless from me. We're now going to go for another Weather Ball, and at this point I put them into range where I can just fully Mud Slap, farm them down with my Drilbur. They shouldn't be able to make it to back-to-back charge moves, so I use one shield, shielding up the foul play, and I'm able to farm them down. Now the opponent comes in with a Shadow Dragonair. I thought about going for Rock Tomb since I'm only making it to one charge move, but actually that would give them slightly more farm potentially if we did debuff their attack there, so I actually just go for that Drill Run. We can now come in with the Excadrill, and I will be able to make it to a charge move before they make it to back-to-back Aqua Tails. I've got to be very careful of a catch though. They go for the Aqua Tail, and they make the catch there onto Skeledirge. Now I tried to undercharge this, but it still does too much damage, and at this point I was like, oh, I don't even know what to do anymore, so I kind of panic. I stop attacking, I try to make the catch. The opponent, very disciplined, they don't throw straight away. They're able to go for an Aqua Tail into the Excadrill, and I do unfortunately lose that game, but very nice catch by the opponent and very well played. Into the next game, we see a Poliwrath in the lead, so I'm going to stay in this lead matchup. Of course, they're going to be running Icy Wind, which will debuff my attack, but I don't really care. Going to let the first one go through. Icy Wind does get me into the yellow health. I'm now going to overfarm. The opponent tries to make a catch. I can now go for a Weather Ball, and this will just guarantee they're in range where I can just fully Mud Slap farm them down. I will have to shield once because an Earthquake, or maybe even like a Mega Horn or something, would do quite a lot of damage. They're actually running Water Pulse, which is very surprising, but we're able to shield it, get the farm down anyways. We can now go for a Drill Run, and this will do a lot of damage. It would take them out from this range, so the opponent uses their shield, but I make it to another Drill Run already, and this is where the Mud Slap energy generation buff this season really does help us out, and actually I'm able to just fully farm them down there. The opponent probably thought they could counter farm me down. They were wrong, and then they just concede the match there. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we see a Serperior in the lead, so fairly good matchup. The opponent swaps into Azumarill. I just have to stay in, of course. I've got two ground types in the back. This is also really problematic because, of course, they've got a Superior as well. So they go for an Ice Beam, which doesn't do too much damage. We can go for a Hurricane here, and I'm hoping this will put them into range where we can just settle for a Weather Ball eventually. But I'm not going to throw straight away because I know a Weather Ball certainly doesn't KO from this range. So they go for the Ice Beam here. We're going to overfarm, farm to nearly 100 energy, go for a Weather Ball. I still don't think this will take them out, but it will put them into perfect Wing Attack farm down range. And now let's see, the opponent comes in with a Vigoroth. We're going to bait with a Weather Ball here, and then I will full send a Hurricane. We grab the shield. We're now going to go for that Hurricane, throwing just before they make it to that Body Slam. Hurricane does connect. It does huge damage. We swap into our Drilbur. The opponent overfarms. I don't know what they were thinking, but they don't end up throwing any of their energy, which is fine with me. We're now going to go for a Rock Tomb here, and I feel like we're in a pretty good position, but they will get a massive Vine Whip farm down, which actually might be worse for us here, because now I don't really know what to do. I think I'm going to come in with the Pelipper. They will have to throw a Charge Move to take us out here, otherwise they can't really risk taking too much Wing Attack damage. So now it just depends, does a Rock Slide take them out from about half health remaining? I'm going to shield the first one. They do go for the Frenzy Plant. I should live a Frenzy Plant because it is debuffed, but it will still do a ton of damage, and Rock Slide barely doesn't take them out there. So how much damage does the Frenzy Plant do? It does too much damage there, and they are able to Vine Whip farm me down anyways and take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we see Altaria in the lead, so going to save swap into my Shadow Extra Drill, and the opponent responds with a Defense from Deoxys. This is pretty bad for me, but I will be able to make it to 2 drill runs before they do get the full counter farm down, which is pretty good for me, and this drill run will be grabbing a shield advantage, but they've got a lot of energy. If they're running Thunderbolt, that just easily one-shots the Pelipper. If they're running Rock Slide, then it still does a lot of damage. I'm actually going to call that the baiting, and they do go for the resisted Rock Slide there, and now I will be able to fully Mud Slap farm them down. Going to have to use my shield as the opponent goes for a second Rock Slide, but they don't make it to a Psycho Boost, which is nice. And now I will be able to make it to a Rock Tomb. I forgot what this is called, but Rock Tomb is going to do huge damage to the Altaria. We swap into Pelipper. I can't really shield this. I don't know what their final Pokemon is. They go for a Sky Attack, and it ends up being a Ferrothorn. This is not good for us whatsoever. So I'm going to use my shield here. I will bait with a Weather Ball as they go for the Power Whip here, but we lagged there, and now I'm going like well over 100 energy because I wanted to throw it on good timing, because you're going to see it's not about the energy, but it's more about the damage here as we go for the Hurricane. Hurricane nearly takes them out there, but unfortunately I'm not quite able to do so. Power Whip takes out the Pelipper, and they will be able to just fully Dragon Breath farm me down, and I unfortunately lose that game. But GG's to that opponent there. And into the next game, we see a Shadow Tyranitar in the lead, so I'm going to save swap immediately into my Shadow Extra Drill, and the opponent comes in with a Venusaur, and we are going to overfarm here just because I don't think a Drill Run would quite take them out. So I'm actually going to overfarm, go for the Drill Run here. We have nearly 100 energy. Unfortunately, I'm missing a ton of bubbles there, but it actually works out in my favor as I get one extra Mud Shot through there, so I do get slightly more energy. We can now go for a Rock Slide. The opponent lets that go through. We make it to another Rock Slide. More lag, unfortunately. I do apologize. It's probably quite painful to watch, but the opponent just chooses to have both their shields invested in their Shadow Tyranitar. So I can't even speak right now, and Drilbur is just coming in, absolutely demolishing the Tyranitar, and we can just Mud Slap, farm down the Superior, and take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we see Pelipper into another Lantern. So not great. I'm going to save swap into my Shadow Extra Drill. Actually, no, I actually swap into my Drilbur this time around, just because I realized that if they were running like a Mudboy in the back, I think Drilbur had a better opportunity of flipping that matchup, maybe in the 2-shield scenario. But here we're going to go for a Drill Run, grabbing a shield from the opponent. And at this point, I kind of want to get all shields down on my opponent's end. I will have to use one shield here, but I don't mind doing that. We can go for Drill Run number 2, and this will certainly grab the second shield from the opponent. It does exactly that, and now at this point we can come in with the Pelipper. I'm not going to shield anything. I know it has an awful matchup up against the Lantern anyway, so there's really no point in shielding anything here. We're going to let the next move go through. I think I should be able to Wing Attack farm them down if they are throwing this Body Slam straight away, and I am able to do so. We come out with a Hurricane loaded. We're going to swap into Extra Drill, and the opponent is choosing to stay in this matchup. So I'm going to shield the first move here. I know they have a little bit of residual energy, so I'm going to overfarm just a small amount here, go for that Drill Run, and Drill Run will be taking out the Lantern, and the opponent has a Toxapex in the back, and that is unfortunately game over for the opponent as Extra Drill absolutely destroys Toxapex, and I'm able to take that game. So GG to that opponent there. Into next game, the opponent's going to safe swap into a Piloswine. Bit of a spicy pick here. I'm actually not sure what to do, so we go for a Weather Ball straight away. That does a decent amount of damage, and now at this point, I'm actually going to swap. I don't think I could have Wing Attack farmed them down there before they made it to 2 Avalanches, but I will get the Mudslap farm down, which is nice for me. And let's see what the opponent wants to do. The opponent is going to wait out the switch clock here, come in with a Shadow Camerupt here, and I actually don't know why I throw a charge move here. I could have just gone for the Mudslap farm down. We would have simultaneously KO'd, but since I did go for one charge move, I certainly should have gone for Rock Tomb, as that would debuff their attack, and you're going to see a Shadow Overheat from Camerupt. Nearly one-shots us, it puts us way too low, and yeah, that was a big mistake from me, and now I think the opponent should have this game in the bag, which is really unfortunate for me, but fair play to the opponent, running an incredibly spicy pick in Shadow Camerupt, and that damage was just completely ridiculous here. Now, I should have gone for one extra Mud Shot, just because I know that I would CMP tie and win the CMP tie, but yeah, it doesn't really make a difference. They're not in Weather Ball range. Frenzy Plant takes us out, and I won't make it to that Hurricane, so I do unfortunately lose that game. So GG's to that opponent. I definitely should have gone for the Rock Tomb there, or just committed to the full Mudslap farm down, but either way, very well played by the opponent. And into the next game, we see a Wigglytuff in the lead. We're going to go for a Hurricane here, and this, well, it does get shielded, which is unfortunate. Probably should have just baited, but we do make it to a Weather Ball before the opponent is able to charm farm us down. So that's pretty good. I'm going to come in with my Shadow Extra Drill, shield the first charge move, probably going to be an Icy Wind, but no, they're still running Ice Beam here, so that's pretty good for me. They don't debuff my attack, and now I can go for a Drill Run. I do overfarm quite considerably, maybe too much, it depends what they've got in the back. As the opponent comes in with a Shadow Hypno, we're going to overfarm again, go for a Drill Run here, and then I'm going to swap. I expect the opponent to just throw their charge move straight away, but no, they actually don't there, so they actually just don't throw a charge move at all. I'm not sure what they were doing there, but that's fine with me. We make it to the Rock Tomb on the CMP tie. This is super effective damage, and it nearly one-shots the Drifblim. The opponent will make it to a charge move. I'm just going to play it safe, shield anyways, just in case for whatever reason we didn't make it to a charge move, but I'm able to Mudslap farm them down and take that game. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. And with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.